it's so hard because you don't want to tell the person that what they're gonna do like won't matter anymore because it should have been done before. So I'm giving him December. Fast food napkins, am I right? I'm giving him December. We're going on our trip together, and yeah, I don't know. And it's hard because now he's gonna do everything right, and he's gonna, he was like, do you want to sleep in? I'll take care of the girls. Or like, it seems like he's doing everything right now. And I'm just wondering why. Last night, my husband and I got into a little bit of a disagreement. I got up from the sofa. I walked into the kitchen. He stopped me. I'm facing this way into the kitchen. He's facing that way into the living room. And I basically told him that we are heading for divorce. And he looked right past me and started watching the soccer game. So I don't know if that was just denial or if he didn't care, but pretty sure if my partner of 16 years just told me that we're headed for divorce, they would have all my attention, but it's not. Day one, post telling my husband I want a divorce.
A very common pattern among us men is not giving too much importance to certain arguments that only serve to ruin your day. Not because we don't care, but because we know that dwelling on the drama doesn't solve anything. This man was processing his situation, maybe watching soccer as a distraction, but first, let's look at the story. Before that, though, I want you to notice a detail that one man pointed out earlier in the comments of this and other videos, which is key to the whole story. Watch the following video.
It amazes me that you can give such a vague explanation, but every woman is cheering you on to pack up and run. I don't know if it's because us women have had to fly below the radar for so long that I can make a post and I can use certain words and be vague. And vagueness is okay because even though I'm on here, I still am entitled to privacy. But it is shocking that I can be that vague. And so many women see like a same situation that they've been in. So what does that tell you? Okay. It's called empathy. And if you don't have any, it might be the problem. You know what I realized I did with my last post? I was rewatching what I recorded as I do before I post. My vagueness isn't protecting me. My vagueness is protecting him.
No, that man saw it clearly. All it took was a single vague complaint video for all the women in the comments to start pushing her toward divorce. Not a single one said, talk to your husband, get some help, try to work it out. No, it was all, leave, run, make a financial plan, put everything in your name, get a lawyer. And as I always say, misery loves company. If they're bitter, they want to see others fall too, so they don't feel alone in their failure. This man, just by reading those comments, saw all the red flags. She tries to justify it by saying her vagueness was out of privacy. In other words, she didn't even lay everything out, and still, thousands encouraged her to destroy her marriage. Believe me, the message really hit home. Just look at the next video she made. It's a bit long, but I hope you watch it.
Okay, the night that I told my husband that I wanted to divorce kind of went like this. I was telling him for weeks that I had been treading water with the girls and that I need more help. I was feeling overwhelmed with a dance recital that was coming up, and I was like, hey, can you wake up a little bit early to like help me with like makeup, the whole shebang, makeup, hair, everything. He said, I'll wake up, I'll sacrifice sleep to help you. I'll wake up, I'll sacrifice sleep and help you. And I said, sounds great, because you went to the soccer bar like last week and you sacrificed sleep to do that. To which he told me that wasn't the same thing. And I'm like, okay. So he then told me that maybe I should get a job so that he can quit and that he can run the house. And I said, say less. And I got up and I said, then I can quit this job and then I'll just go to work. He followed me into the kitchen where I looked at him and I said, we are heading towards divorce. And he looked past me to watch the soccer game. And I said, I just told you that we're on our road to divorce and you looked past me to watch soccer. To which he said, well, I got distracted. Fair enough. So I ran an errand that I needed to do anyway. And I came back and he's like, we need to talk. I said, yeah. Because it's hard to tell someone that you've been with forever, it seems, that you want a divorce. So we go in the other room and he goes, you know, what's up, hon? I said, I think we need to get through December. We're going to make this month special for the girls. We're going to do Christmas. We're going to do the holidays. And then when January comes, we're looking at divorce. Like, we need to talk about separation. What are we going to do with the kids, living arrangements, the whole shebang. He like sat down, immediately started like crying. Okay. And I have been like manipulated before in the past, and it's like with counseling and all this other stuff, like I am so solidified in my decision that like these tactics aren't working. He keeps telling me, he's like, I'll try harder, I'll do more, you know, just give me another chance. And I go, hon, like we have been trying this for years. Like I have been asking you to change and to like meet me halfway for probably 10 years now. To which he admits that he's only been trying for the last 2 years. Because I still love him and I still care about him. And I always will. So we started talking and he's like, give me 3 weeks. I'll be different. We're going on our trip. Like, I'll show you, you know, I'll be better. I neglected you for years and I'm realizing that now, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I'm going to make you my priority and everything like that. And I was like, I love you. And I'm like, we can still be friends. And like, I will be there for you. Like, even when the girls turn like 18, like, I'm not just going to disappear. But I'm like, I love you, but I'm not like in love with you anymore. And he's like, I want to change that. I want you to fall in love with me again. Like, I'm gonna do all the things. Like, just give me 3 weeks. Give me 3 weeks. You said that we can have December. Like, just give me 3 weeks. So I'm like, okay, but it's so hard because you don't want to tell the person that what they're gonna do like won't matter anymore, because it should have been done before. So I'm giving him December. Fast food napkins, am I right? I'm giving him December. We're going on our trip together, and yeah, I don't know. And it's hard because now he's gonna do everything right, and he's gonna, you know, he was like, do you want to sleep in? I'll take care of the girls. Or like, it seems like he's doing everything right now. And I'm just wondering why he didn't do it before. So, if you have gone through divorce, because like, this is fucking easy, right? Divorce is the easy way out. You know what's easier? Just putting your head in the sand and just ignoring it and your own needs for your whole life. That's easier. But how do you, if you were a man or a woman who went through divorce and You have reached your limit and your going point, and the person that you are leaving is now like being an A+ student. Like that is a mind trip. But anyway, this is 8 minutes. No one's gonna watch it, so but yeah. So what is this, day 3? And yeah, and we leave on our trip Friday the 13th. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, now he's doing everything right, and he's being fun and playful and letting me be me, and I just don't know how long that's going to last, because he hasn't done any inner work. He called a therapist that before it was too much work to do, and he gave up after an hour of trying, and now this time he was able to get one in network in under like 10 minutes. So, whatever. And I was like, what self-help books have you read? What are you doing to, I'm like, you can only change your personality for someone for so long. And that's where I am right now. I devoted my whole life to him, and I dimmed myself to be with him, and I molded myself to be part of his life, and I can't spend the next 40 years like that. So let me know if you've been through it and how that was emotionally for you. I gotta go because it's almost 10.
Oh, hell no!
In this country, women file for 80% of divorces. Men are never prepared for this, which ends up being a complete shock for them. This woman had been grieving the relationship for months. Long before this video, she had already been hearing comments telling her what to do, telling her to get divorced, pushing her to leave her husband. This man clearly had no chance to save his marriage or his family. This woman was being conditioned. Mentally, the idea of divorce had already sunk deep into her mind. No matter what he says, she's leaving. I'm telling you this because in the next video, just look at the kind of feminist content she started getting into, the type of ideas they planted in her head.
Okay. So there's a video on my page, and it kind of talks about how something was said that I can never go back from. And the very next day, my husband acted as if like nothing happened. I started this page on November 1st, and it was supposed to be a weight loss, getting sober journey. That's why my bio says what it says. During I don't like to say argument, but we'll just say it. During an argument or a heated discussion with my husband, insert trigger warning, I was talking to him and I said, love, this is like a merry-go-round. Like we keep going round and round the same subjects. And he told me that I needed to find out what was wrong with him and tell him what to do to fix it. So I told him that isn't my mental load to do, and that is something that he needs to do. As the conversation went on, I realized that I needed to come clean about what was really bothering me in our relationship. Okay. At the time, I did not know the proper word for it. The proper word for it, I believe, is a rather soft terminology. It's actually 2 words, but I feel as though it's very soft for the impact that it has on mainly women, also men. So I told him, I want you to admit that you situationally graped me for more than half of our relationship. To which he replied, I did not grape you. You never said no. When that happened, it was like clarity, boom. And I remember thinking, and I may have said it, I didn't realize I could say no. So I dived into this and I realized it's called sexual coercion, which basically means you are in a relationship and also into like a power dynamic where you don't feel like you can say no. And that's what I was doing for years. So it's very hurtful when men come on here and say, well, you probably weren't sleeping with him and that's why he's ready to get rid of you. No. I understood that on his nights off, I needed to, and I used this term in therapy, that I needed to perform. Okay. This happened for years. Like, I'm thinking, I would say 8 years total. The way that I coped with this situation is that I began drinking. At first, towards the beginning, just a glass of wine would loosen me up enough to get in the mood. The glass turned to 2 glasses turned to 3. We all know what happens after glass 4. That's a whole bottle. I started consuming alcohol even when he wasn't there. I believe it was a way to cope with the unhealed trauma in my life. And I became probably, if you want to really label it, a high functioning alcoholic. My body came to a point where the alcohol and gummies, weren't numbing the feelings anymore. Like, I was able to go through the actions, but then my body would just retaliate. Like, I would like just bawl my eyes out in the bathroom afterwards. Just not wanting this to be my relationship with my husband.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
So your husband abused you for 8 years just because you had intimacy? Feminist women today are completely brainwashing married women. Because how can you be in a relationship with someone and blame them for everything that happens to you? Now she even blames him for her being an alcoholic, when she was the one staying home drinking while he went out to work. These women always have an excuse. Every failure, every mistake in their lives, they blame it on the man they married. But do they ever stop to think if the man is happy? Watching the mother of his daughters be a functioning alcoholic every day? What really gets to me is that this man genuinely loved her. Because even with all of that, her drinking, her gummies, he still wanted to stay married to her. But now look at the ending, where she's happy for following the advice of those bitter feminists who told her to get a divorce and what to do.
These men are wild, in my comments. Like, I'm gonna drop some truth. Because everyone's like, he is going to be so happy. Let him free. He's had enough. He's going to be so happy. Happily divorced, right? Get rid of you. I'm like, okay, let's break it down. And we're not even going to talk about like the financial aspect because we're in Wisconsin. So that's like a 50-50 state. So immediately 6 years of alimony right off the top. 50-50 everything. 401k, IRAs, health savings account, pension, the whole shebang. Okay. Immediately cut in half. The house that I have made a home, everything in there. was handpicked by me. The soft blankets, the artwork, the quartz countertops, like fucking everything. I picked everything. I picked like 90% of that house out. Okay. Everything that makes that house a home, I did it. So he's looking at a 1-bedroom apartment, maybe 2, because he'll have the girls 50% of the time. So he's looking at a 2-bedroom apartment, and if he just takes his stuff, that's like his clothes. That's it. So he's looking at a 2-bedroom empty apartment with his clothes. That's cool. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but okay. And then he's going to have 50-50 custody. And the girls might actually see him more if we did 50-50 custody. So not only is he going to be working full time, but now he's going to have the girls 50-50 time. And how do you do that with rotating shift work? Well, he's going to have to outsource the labor somehow, right? Because I'm a domestic laborer. I provide all the services for the house. I pay his bills. I pay the taxes. I file taxes. I shop. I cook. I clean. I do everything. Everything that he does in the home is a choice. He chooses to do the dishes. If he doesn't do the dishes, I do the dishes. He chooses to pick up. He doesn't clean. He just recently started doing his own laundry, but he doesn't do his work clothes because he doesn't know how to fold the pants properly to make them non-wrinkled. Or he doesn't fold his undershirts either because I fold them better and they fit better in the drawers. Okay, so this man is going to be happily on his own, 50-50 custody, which means that he's going to have to outsource the labor or pay extra for before and after care. Because how do you get to work at 6 o'clock when your kids need to be to school at 8? Or it's not 50-50, and then I'm still taking the girls, and then you're going to have to pay me child support. That's cool. He's happy, right? Because now he's banging a 28-year-old. That was another thing in the comments. Don't know how he's going to meet this 28-year-old. First off, dating a 28-year-old when you're 40, it sounds fucking hard. Like, that just sounds annoying. Like, so let's bump it up to like 32. Like, he finds a nice 32-year-old woman. Perfect. Great. Happy for him. I don't know how he's going to do that because he works with all men. And he works rotating shift work, and now he's going to have the girls 50% of the time. So unless this woman is going to show up on his couch one day, willing to help raise 2 girls, which my girls are fucking amazing. I would love to raise these girls, and I hope she's fun. Like, I hope they have an amazing stepmother.
Hey, bro. What? Oh my God!
This woman was ready for the divorce before she even asked for it, because she knew exactly what she would get. Women aren't stupid. 50% of everything. She kept the house, half of his money, half of his 401k, alimony, child support. Are you really going to tell me she wasn't happy about the divorce? She's got half her life already set. She knows how this man lives, how emotionally dependent he was on her, and how much he's going to suffer. But I know he'll rise again. It'll be painful at first and very hard, but he'll get through it. In the end, men are resilient. Honestly, I hope her mockery of him becomes the fuel that helps him push through and overcome this. But what do you all think?
I am currently really struggling to understand the universe's plan for me. I don't get it. It's like I have so many wonderful things that I can share with somebody else. And it seems like whenever I even get the tiniest glimpse of hope, just the tiniest, it immediately disappears. Like, oh, I went on a second date with somebody else and connected with them, and I want to try to pursue that. You were great, though. You were great. But I was just second in line, I guess. And every time I say, that's okay, because what's meant for me will find me. I truly believe that. But it's really hard to continue to stay hopeful and positive when just nothing works out. Like, nothing. And I'm not going to settle. I don't want to lower my standards or accept less than I deserve because I would rather be alone. But my God, it's so draining. Dating is draining. I just can't keep doing it. So at what point do you just except being single forever. I don't know.
I don't want to lower my standards or accept less than what I deserve. Lady, you're over 30, you're on the wall. What exactly do you think you deserve? A top 10% millionaire guy chasing after a woman over 35? If you actually lowered your standards for an average man, you probably wouldn't be alone, because you do have suitors. They're just not the ones you want. They're not the winners you imagined. That might have been possible at 22, when you've opened doors effortlessly. But in your 30s, almost 40, it's better to focus on building something with a good man. Instead, you'd rather keep wasting time alone, throwing away what little youth you have left. But hey, sister wants to stay on the wall, and we all know the wall doesn't forgive.
I got these beautiful roses from someone I have been recently seeing, and we went on a couple fun dates, like really nice dates. We went to the gym, like all the nice things, right? He's gotten me 2 bouquets of flowers. Great, right? For all of it to come crumbling down because I took a Snapchat picture of us out at a fancy dinner over the weekend and didn't have him in the photo. He had gotten up to get something, and that's when I took my phone out, because I didn't have my phone out during the dinner, with him there, because it's rude. And I took my phone out, took a photo of like the table, and said date night. But apparently it was a problem because he was not in the photo. He said it looked shady, that I was trying to potentially get attention from other men because they couldn't see that I was on a date with somebody. That's insane. But yeah, we were arguing about it via text, and then he called me and he was yelling at me and throwing at me, and I was like, no thanks, because up until then, so sweet, so calm, so attentive. And then when that happened, something happened that he didn't like. True colors. The mask fell down, and I was like, wow, this would be the person I would be dealing with in the future, given any kind of conflict or something happens that he doesn't like. No, thank you. So I ran the hell out of there. Blocked him. So I'm like, no, I'm sorry. No one's going to yell at me. That's not happening. So, yeah. So maybe you'll feel better about your dating life, because I should just do a series, because my dating life is literally a joke. So, yeah.
Oh, hell no!
Imagine this. As a man, you put in the effort. Not just because you want her to like you, but because you're trying to live up to her standards. You bring her flowers, plan a date at an expensive restaurant, doing everything to show your best side. But the moment you step away from the table, she pulls out her phone and starts taking pictures. Pictures where you're nowhere to be found. The guy who paid for dinner and brought flowers isn't even in the frame. Why? Because those pictures weren't taken to remember the date. They were for her social media, for the simps flooding her inbox with likes, while you, the one who made the effort, are invisible. And then she wonders why men these days just invite women out for coffee. And the worst part isn't just that she did it. It's that she justified it by saying she was just being polite by not pulling out her phone while you were at the table. Come on. These days, women don't let go of their phones, not even in the bathroom. That excuse is just smoke and mirrors. This man didn't react out of insecurity. He reacted because he saw through the move and didn't like being used. And you know what? He failed by showing emotion. He shouldn't have argued. If I had been in his place, I would have just stood up, paid for my meal, and never texted her again. Because that was pure disrespect.
Women.
I went on a date with an Indian man, and it was the worst experience of my life. You won't believe who he invited on our date. So this happened while I was living and dating in New York City, matched with this cute Indian guy on Tinder, very smart, successful, and on a few dates. And in the beginning, he was very upfront and straightforward with me, and he told me that he was best friends with one of his exes. He told me that his family was friends with her family, and that at one point they tried to set up an arranged marriage with them, but there was just no chemistry or attraction. Usually I'm the jealous type, but I decided to let this go because he was really, really nice. So cut to a couple weeks later, he invites me to go and meet his friends for the first time, which I thought was like a really huge step for us. us. We were all going to go do karaoke in K-Town. So he reserved a room. I get there, I meet his friends. They all seem very, very nice. And as the evening progresses, something really weird is happening. Notice that one girl in the group is drinking a lot. And as she continues to do so, she's getting more and more emotional. And at one point she starts crying and she storms out of the karaoke room. The guy I'm dating looks at me and says that he needs to go and check on her, so he leaves too. Half an hour goes by and I'm like, okay, this is a little bit weird. They haven't come back yet. So I leave the karaoke room, I head down the hallway, and I see that there is an empty karaoke room where both of them are sitting. She is bawling her eyes out and he has his arm around her and he's consoling her. I pop my head in and I'm like, hey guys, what's up? What's going on? Did anyone pass away? He shoos me away and says, everything's fine. She's just had a really rough day. I'm trying to help her. So I then leave. And after waiting another half hour, 45 minutes, I'm like, I'm done with this. So I take my things and I go. I send him a text message saying that was extremely rude. And then he has the audacity to text me back and tell me that is actually his ex-girlfriend. She was just really upset and caught off guard because she wasn't expecting to meet me that night. So then he tells me he wants to make it up to me by taking me out for dinner, to which I'm like, no thank you, sir. Never went on to speak or hang out again, but I do still follow him on social media. Don't know what his relationship status is, but I do see his ex-girlfriend in a lot of his photos. That experience left such a bad taste in my mouth that I actually stayed away from dating Indian men after that. Let me know what you guys think. Is this normal? Did I overreact?
Oh, it's funny because it's true.
Brothers, Chads operate on a whole different level. This guy clearly wasn't that into the new girl, and yet he took her out on the exact day he knew his ex would be there. That wasn't a coincidence. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's probably one of those men who brings all his girlfriends into the same friend group because he doesn't break up, he archives. And yeah, the ex had an emotional meltdown, mission accomplished. He knew a scene like that would stir up old feelings. And it did, big time. This was pure jealousy strategy, and it worked. The new girl faded into the background, used as a tool. Cruel? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. That night, the ex didn't sleep alone. He made his move, direct, no hesitation, no asking for permission. And while many will judge him, let's not forget something. That's the type of man they choose. Not the good guy, not the predictable one, but the one who takes her on an emotional roller coaster. The Chad, a man who brings nothing to the table.
Dating as a bigger girl is hard, and it's even harder to explain to people because you really don't get it unless you've lived it. I felt this way my whole life, especially when it comes to talking about dating with friends and family. It can be difficult to explain, and it's also something you don't want to explain at the same time. It can feel uncomfortable or embarrassing. It's that feeling whenever you're catching up with your friends and they're sharing stories about recent dates they've been on, but you haven't been on any because you only get asked to go to a guy's house. It's that feeling whenever you go out with your friends and guys talk to them and you just kind of stand by the side and sip on your drink. It's that feeling when you're meeting up with someone from a dating app and you're worried that they don't realize that you are bigger, even though you have full body photos on your profile. It's that feeling in high school whenever everyone is asked to the homecoming or the prom and you're the only one without a date. It's that feeling whenever you like a guy and you see what his ex-girlfriend looks like and all the other girls he follows on Instagram and you look nothing like them. It's that feeling when you have to decipher, are they really attracted to me or is it a fetish? Which I'm pretty sure I got that recently, so. It's the feeling when the conversation turns sexual in 0.2 seconds because guys think we'll just settle for any sort of attention. It's whenever you're out at a bar with your friends and you guys are all interested in the same guy and you feel the need to back down because you feel like you don't even have a chance to begin with. It's that feeling whenever you're out with your group of friends and you're approached by a group of guys and you know that you're not the reason the guys approached. It's the guys who are actually attracted to you and do like you but would never take you in public and never date you. And yeah, that is what it feels like dating as a bigger girl. All right, I love you guys. Bye.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Pure victimhood. Just like she says herself, all overweight. And yet she still has a better shot at finding a partner than 40% of men out there. Brother, there are guys who've spent years on dating apps without getting a single like, not even from a fake profile. But she wants us to feel sorry for her over something that actually has a solution: diet and exercise. That's not cruelty, it's reality. There are things you can change, and if you choose not to, at least don't play the victim. What about the man who gets rejected just for being short? Or the one who doesn't have the looks or the money? Nobody's out there making emotional videos on his behalf. Because for many women, the standard is crystal clear. The apocalypse 666, 6 feet tall, six-pack abs, and six-figure salary. The 666 from hell. There's no room for empathy when it comes to that. But when a woman feels rejected, the whole world's supposed to stop. No, what you're going through isn't worse than what the average overweight man faces every single day. He just doesn't record himself complaining about it.
Why am I not interested in going out and meeting a man? Well, let me tell you, I went out about a month ago with one of my really good friends. We were with his friend group. There was a guy that joined from this friend group. Let's call him Steve. Steve and I get talking and he buys me a drink. And I said, "Thank you, Steve. This is lovely." And I stood there with him and I chatted with him for a while. Most of our conversation was him interrupting me to go, "Has anybody ever told you how beautiful your eyes are?" Very weird, super uncomfortable, but I thought, hey, maybe he's a bit nervous. Maybe I'll give him the time of day. Never give a man the time of day. At one point, we decided to go upstairs, go to the other little bar, and then come back downstairs. On our way coming back downstairs, someone was walking past me, looked a bit nervous, like they weren't with anybody, looked, I'd assume queer. I know I shouldn't do that, but I think this man was gay. Because I was feeling fun and crazy, I decided to be the nice person in the room because I don't like being in a room where I can see someone is left out. I very gently walked past him, made a nice little comment just to give him someone to talk to for a second because Steve was trailing far behind me. I said something nice like, "I like your shirt," or something like that. I can see the relief in this man's face. He automatically starts his conversation with me. He's like, "I'm just looking for my friend." We get into a conversation about where he's from. He's so lovely. We start talking about the queer community. After about a minute of talking to this guy, I noticed Steve is nowhere to be found. I turn around and Steve is stood far away from me, pretty far. Like, he saw me talking to someone else, and instead of coming up and joining the conversation, he stood there like an angry little rat in the corner, and he watched me talk to the new prospect. When I decided to quickly wrap up this conversation with this new, lovely, presumably gay gentleman, Steve beelines to me. Comes up to me after knowing me for probably maybe an hour, and he goes, "I didn't like that. I didn't like that." And I went, "Oh, what do you mean?" He goes, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I'm with you. I'm with you. I've bought you a few drinks at this. I'm with you. You're with me, and you're talking to some other guy." And I was like, first of all, he's gay. Second of all, I was trying to be nice. Third of all, you were way behind me. I was just stepping in. That's fine. Also, you don't own me. What do you mean? I cannot deal with this, like, ownership thing that so many men push onto women, especially if they feel like they've bought them a few drinks and now it's like they've locked them in for the night. How are you gonna go out in public with a bunch of strangers, meet someone and talk to them, and then the moment this stranger that you don't know talks to someone else, be like, "I don't fucking like that." I should mention as well that everybody in this friend group was saying, "Oh, Steve is the best. Steve's the best dude around. Oh, he's so cool. He's so funny. Oh, don't worry about him. He's going to be great. You're going to have the best time." So the whole time I was like, do I go away from him or do I keep talking to him? Because everyone's saying that he's amazing, but it was like the worst. It was the worst night.
I have to say, Steve has a solid group of friends who were actually trying to help him score. Steve's real problem was forgetting that staying calm in certain situations is the smartest move. She was right. He's not her owner. He came across as desperate, and a man who shows too much hunger doesn't get to eat. The idea that just because he bought her a drink, she owes him her full attention for the rest of the night. That's just over the top. If he had taken a moment to assess the situation, talked to her, asked, "Is he a friend of yours?" he might have found out who the guy was. She said he's a gentleman and gay, but he could have been her brother, cousin, or just a friend. The point is, Steve didn't know anything about this woman, so he couldn't know who she might talk to. If you don't like what you see or don't like her answer, don't get mad, just walk away. There's no need to ruin your night or your friend's night over a woman you met just a few hours ago. To me, Steve acted desperate. Personally, I trust myself, and I would have handled it differently. What do you guys think?
So 2 weeks ago, my boyfriend broke up with me unexpectedly and abruptly after 7 years together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the breakup was really, as I mentioned, unexpected, but it also was super quick and careless, kind of like the rug being pulled out from under me. And I'm in, the waves of heartbreak, kind of really wondering like how best to move on from something so disorienting and what closure could look like, and if something like that's even worth it.
Oh, man. We're not in the same room, but I'm just picturing myself just sitting there with you.
Thanks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened.
Yeah, so I think, about 2 weeks ago, I thought we were meeting up for a date, and
oh man,
it was in my neighborhood, and I went out to meet up with him after kind of like saying like, oh, I'm so excited, we can have dinner, whatever, like all these things. And then I went outside to meet up with him, like just at like a park near my house that we go to a lot. And I had no idea. And I just sat down and she said, we need to talk. I want to break up with you. And that was pretty much it.
Like no prompting, no nothing?
Yeah, and like...
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
I doubt it was without warning. A man withdraws silently, but he always gives signs. He always says what he doesn't like, even if it's subtle. There's a reason why they say men never leave women. We endure as much as we possibly can in a relationship. When a man shows up and tells you, I'm leaving, believe me, it's because he's already fed up with you. He no longer has the strength to fight with you. He's tired of asking you to change, tired of putting up with mistreatment, tired of rowing alone. She'll tell the story as if she didn't do anything wrong. But yes, she did. It was a 7-year relationship. There were signs, warnings, looks, words, and you ignored them. Until one day, you simply heard, I'm leaving. But since she doesn't want to accept responsibility, if you doubt it, take a look at the following story.
Did you hear about the husband who's wondering if he's the AH for doing absolutely nothing for the child that his ex-wife had from an affair? Even now, after he has primary care of their kids now. So this husband learned 6 years ago that his ex-wife was cheating on him. He ended their marriage and filed for divorce. However, everything was delayed because she was pregnant. Once her child was born, it was established that he wasn't the biological father. His name was then removed from the birth certificate and the biological father's name was then added. His ex-wife and the father of the child then became a couple. Now, throughout the whole process, he shared 50-50 custody with the 3 children that he shared with his ex-wife. He says his kids were old enough to figure out what had happened. He got them therapy after his ex-wife resisted initially, and he did his best to reassure them that they didn't need to hate anyone for what had happened. But their relationship with their mother never recovered, and the relationship with her youngest never existed from what he's aware of. Anyway, the affair partner, the one that she had the child with, took off 3 years ago. And since then, his ex-wife has asked him to take an active role in her child's life, because he's so involved in their other 3 kids' lives. Each and every time she's made this request, he's told her no. She then tried to take full custody of the 3 kids that they shared together because he refused to include her youngest. And the judge told her that it didn't work like that and that he had no legal responsibility to her youngest child. He ended up getting primary custody of their 3 children about a year ago. This is because his ex-wife made a few bad decisions. Not only lost the job that she had, but also the house. She also had no savings and overall was left with next to nothing. After this, her request for him to do something with her youngest child increased. He says he ignored them for the most part and did as he was instructed to do by his lawyer. He continued to say no and also reminded her that there are places she can go to. She needed help to feed her youngest. 3 kids that they do share together must go to her house every other weekend, and they hate it, which angers his ex-wife because they have zero relationship with her youngest child. It angers her that he doesn't make sure that all of the children have a good relationship together and that her youngest knows what it's like to have a fatherly figure. She told him that she would allow him to adopt her youngest child if he was willing to. His ex has become even more angry now because there are things that her youngest is missing out on, and they are asking her more questions now. She told him that he acts like he's such a great person, but he treats her child like crap. He says he doesn't feel bad. He says that he knows he would have a very difficult time being around this child and they are innocent in this whole situation. So he prefers to just stay away and not let them feel the weight of all the issues he has with their mother and how they were conceived. But now he's wondering if this makes him an awful person. So he's wondering if he's the AH because at the end of the day, the child is innocent in all of this and only has his ex and no one else.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Responsibility is kryptonite for women. She had a stable marriage, 3 children with a good, responsible man, and yet she still chose to betray him. Not only did she cheat, but when everything fell apart, she ran after the other man, who, upon seeing that she was a woman with 4 children, naturally took off. Now that she's ruined, broke, and holding an extra child in her arms, she expects the first man, the one she betrayed, to step up as if nothing ever happened. She wants to sell him the story that a father is the one who raises, not the one who conceives, but we know that's just a lie single mothers tell. She's not looking for love for her child. She's looking for a lifeline for her own mess, someone to whom she can transfer the weight of her irresponsibility. This man has no reason to feel any pity. He has no reason to carry another man's seed or mortgage his life because of her bad decisions. He is already a good father to the children who are truly his, the ones who carry his blood, the ones who are truly his responsibility. But she, being cunning, doesn't give up. She tries to manipulate him, to make him believe it's his moral duty, and then, if she manages to pull him into her game, she'll drag him into court and legally tie him down as a provider. Never feel ashamed to defend yourself. You are a good father to the children who do carry your blood.
Am I wrong for just saying okay and being disgusted when my fiance broke up with me? So I don't know, man. I, 28 female, have been with my fiance, Alex, 34 male, since 2020. We met at a friend's party, hit it off, and have been together ever since. He finished his doctorate in economics just last year. Since then, he has been working at uni. I have my master's in media science and decided to start working instead of going for a PhD. Okay, so the problem is that Alex broke up with me last Monday. It was literally so surreal and honestly just weird. For the past few months, he'd been acting strange. He was making demands and then dropping them immediately. A few examples. He told me we were going to paint our walls back from dark green to white. When I asked why, he just said, "For fuck's sake, forget it," and never brought it up again, even when I asked. Another time, he came home and got mad because I was sitting on the couch with my head covered in a blanket. I had cramps. He was upset because I was just sitting there watching Netflix. Mind you, the house was spotless. When I tried to talk about it, he said, "Forget it, it's not a big deal." This kind of thing became common. Every time I tried to communicate, tried to figure out what was going on, whether it was something I did or maybe he was just stressed at work, he would just say everything was fine, but he was clearly seething with rage. I didn't even have to do anything. He would find something to complain about. The apartment, clothes, me, work, etc. So I gave him space, which apparently was also wrong. I told him I was going to help my parents with repairs for a few days, and somehow that was also wrong because he wanted to renovate the apartment too. Then on Monday, I got a text saying we needed to talk. I knew what was coming. After the last few months, I made peace with it. When I came home, he was sitting on the couch.
From what I can see, this man cuts ties quickly. He doesn't stay behind giving explanations or causing scenes. He simply cuts everything off at the root. Later on, we'll see his reasons, because there are always reasons. But right now what's obvious is the same old pattern. The story starts to revolve around her role as the victim, with the classic, "I didn't do anything," while he is the one to blame. It doesn't matter how much silence he kept or how many times he tried to endure. The story will always be twisted to absolve her of any responsibility. But anyway, let's continue, because we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg here.
He didn't even wait for me to take off my jacket before saying, "I want to break up." Then the verbal diarrhea started. He told me he resented me. First, because I didn't pursue my academic career further, even though I was capable, and he didn't want to upset me at the time. Then, when I started making more money, since he didn't make as much as a PhD student, he felt like I should have the last word financially, and he... Mind you, I never said anything like, It's my money, so I have the final say. That's a rule he imposed on himself, and he hated it. He said he hated our paint scheme, the couch, and even our effing clock. Then he told me he had rejected the better PhD program to stay here because I had already started my job by the time he got the acceptance letters. Only he never told me he had even applied overseas. He said a few months ago he checked in with a friend who's in that program, saw how they were thriving, and decided I ruined his life. He said I had too much control over his life and that he hated the idea that I could just decide not to pay for things and F him over. I honestly don't even know what that means. He also said he hated that all his friends loved me and didn't let him vent about me. Then he said, again, I'm done. I was floored. I had already made peace with the idea that we were ending, and it hurt, but after the rant, I was just disgusted. I looked at him, probably with a disgusted expression, and said, okay. He lost it. He said this is exactly what he meant, that it was horrible. We'd been together for 4 years, and all I had to say was okay to our breakup. I just asked if he wanted to stay here while he figured out where to go. He said, typical, of course, you're holding the apartment over me, and started ranting again. So I left. I told my parents, and they're also confused. My dad suggested I reach out to our landlord and explain the situation to see what options I have. I can keep paying rent, no problem, myself.
Oh, hell no!
This dynamic you see here happens much more often than people are willing to admit out loud. When the woman makes more money than the man, not everyone knows how to handle it. Money doesn't just change bank accounts, it changes the power dynamic. Even if she doesn't say it openly, even if she doesn't realize it, deep down she knows it's her money, and he knows it too. He can't control what doesn't belong to him. He can't assert authority where he feels he doesn't contribute enough. It's that simple. I also notice a dangerous weakness here: guilt. Guilt for what he chose. Guilt for putting himself second. This man didn't have to sacrifice his life to maintain a relationship. He lacked selfishness, and properly understood selfishness is not a bad thing. It's self-preservation. That doesn't erase the fact that she clearly stopped caring about him. That's obvious. But it's also clear that he failed by not putting himself first. As I always tell men, you must never lose sight of your life's purpose for a woman. She will not thank you for it in the end.
I can keep paying rent, no problem, myself. He covered the utilities and some subscriptions. Just to reiterate, I never had a problem with this. I saw that he was chasing his dream and that was more important to me than a 50-50 financial split. I make good money and I'm happy at my job. I never saw it as slaving away. I always have the mentality that my money was our money because we were building a life together. Of course, I had my own savings and fun money, but I honestly never cared. As long as I felt he was working towards something and wasn't taking advantage of me, I was fine with it. More than fine. Alex is still mad. He's going between texting me like a robot about the logistics of the split to being a seething a-hole complaining about everything. I'm not even hurt anymore. I just feel nauseated by him at this point. I don't know. Should I have reacted differently? Edit. Thank you all for your opinions. It was nice to get this off my chest. Just to clarify though, I don't feel like a victim. I feel like something happened and my relationship just turned bad. He behaved like an a-hole, but this is the extent of it. Very clearly, something is going on. He doesn't want me to be part of whatever it is, and I have respect. Now I just have to detangle myself legally from him, and after that, I'll just be left alone with my ugly green wall color. I think I might also adopt a cat, as my ex was really allergic. Seems like she's got a good head on her shoulders. Someone comments, dude basically hates himself for decisions he took without ever consulting you. He chose his comforts, but now others seem in a better position. He's venting on you and making you the culprit. Not the a-hole, but your man has a little brain and doesn't know what with it.
Hey, bro. What? Oh, my God!
This story leaves us with 3 lessons. First, never lose sight of your life's purpose for anyone. If you give up on your dreams, sooner or later resentment will consume you from within. The pain of not choosing yourself is stronger than any breakup. Second, you must have absolute clarity about what kind of relationship you want. That's not selfishness, it's emotional intelligence. If your vision is to be the main provider, then look for a woman who is willing to build from that role. There's no point in tying yourself to a woman who wants to be an entrepreneur and the head of the household if you want to lead the life project. And the third lesson, never show weakness in front of a woman. Never. Male weakness doesn't generate compassion, it generates rejection. Kevin Samuels said it, and time keeps proving it right. Notice, she herself admits that it makes her sick to see him. It doesn't matter how much time they spent together. A woman despises the image of a weak man. But what do you think about this story?
I can remember when I told my ex-husband I wanted a divorce. It was December 2019, and he was completely shocked, completely caught off guard, like dumbfounded, devastated, everything else. But the month before that, November of 2019, I remember very clearly having yet another talk with him about how unhappy I was. But this particular conversation, he was in his man cave room playing video games, which was like his favorite activity. And I go walking in and I tell him, like, I really want to talk about our marriage. Like, I'm not happy. It feels like we're roommates at this point and I don't really have a partner, blah, blah, blah. This man was wearing his headphones because he was playing with a friend and they like talked to each other. He didn't even take his headphones off. He just pulled it off his right ear. This is almost 4 years ago now. I can still remember he pulled it off his right ear and he didn't pause the game or stop playing. He continued to play a video game while his wife was standing in front of him, telling him how unhappy she was in the marriage. And I remember when he said to me something about like marriage being forever and whatever. And I said to him, well, maybe some marriages aren't meant to last. And he got so mad at me for saying that. But he didn't stop playing video games to have the conversation with me. And if that doesn't perfectly sum up why I divorced this man, then I don't know what does. And I feel like this is a very common trend. I hear about this type of stuff a lot, where the wife had expressed her concerns for months or even years. And then when she finally says, all right, I've done everything I could do, I want a divorce. Then the husband's like, what do you mean? What's happening? I love you. Please don't leave me. Please don't take my kids from me. It's like, bitch, you should have put in effort. You had the opportunity. We give you so many opportunities to do the right thing. You chose not to. This is now the repercussions of your actions. Am I wrong?
Stop it. Get some help.
In marriage, a man always walks on an invisible tightrope. He has to be fine. He has to be strong. He has to be stable, because even the slightest stumble can cost him everything. Today's woman has placed her personal happiness above family commitment. It doesn't matter how much the man has built. It doesn't matter how many sacrifices he's made. If she feels her happiness isn't at its peak, she'll leave without looking back. That's why, when a man receives the news of divorce, it feels like his soul is being ripped out. Because we, as men, believe in forever, even through the storms. But today's woman, raised in the me-first culture, doesn't think the same way. When her bad moment comes, she'll seek comfort, validation, another life, but she won't stay to fight by your side. For many women now, marriage has become a subscription to personal happiness, cancelable at any time.
2 months before my ex-husband and I finally separated, we had a trip to Disney planned. And a few weeks before that trip, my ex-husband had gotten fired from his job and was yet again unemployed. I think the wives on here already know before I say it, but I planned that trip myself from top to bottom. It's not because I didn't want help. It's not because I didn't ask for help. It's because he would not give me help. I had narrowed down the Airbnbs to a handful of options, and I just wanted him to finalize the decision with me. Could not be bothered to find 5 minutes to sit down and look at houses with me. So I rented the house myself. I rented the minivan to drive there myself. I coordinated the trip from Pennsylvania to Florida for 4 adults, my parents went with, and 2 kids, myself. And if you've ever planned a trip to Disney, you know you don't just show up on a whim to Disney. You need to know which days you're going to which parks. And then within those parks, you need to know which restaurants you really want to go to, because you have to reserve them months in advance, especially if it's like the high demand restaurants.
And then you want to do your fast passes for the big rides in advance. And then you have to coordinate your lunch reservations with your ride reservations to make sure you can get there in time. So there I am looking at maps of the parks, trying to coordinate. Can we get from that ride to that restaurant? Is that enough time? Like hours of planning, hours and hours of planning. And then packing everything for the kids for a week in Florida, plus obviously packing everything for myself. All this man had to do was show up. He just had to show up with a suitcase of clothing. I paid for everything. I coordinated everything. He just had to show up. And do you think he appreciated that? No. Shocker, right? The bitching and moaning this man did the entire trip. Nothing suited. Nothing suited. It was too hot. It was Florida. There was too much walking. There was too much waiting in line. What's the point of having reservations if you still have to wait when you get there? Why is our lunch reservation at 1:45? Who eats lunch at 1:45? Because that's what was available. Because that particular restaurant, I remember it. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the one in Magic Kingdom where like Winnie the Pooh and them all are. And it was important to let the kids have lunch with Winnie the Pooh, even if it's at 1:45, right? Just hell to the no,
to the no, 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 hell no.
I had a feeling something was going on. The man had been fired from his job, something quite normal in this country, and that alone can be enough for a woman to ask for a divorce. It's among the top 3 reasons women file for divorce, including when you're about to retire. But look at how delusional this woman is. She feels bad because she planned a trip while he had just lost his job, and she insists on going to another state to spend money that could have been used for something more important. Since when does your partner's lack of job stability become the perfect time to plan a luxury vacation? That complete disconnect between the man's reality and her whims says more about her selfishness than anything else. Do you really think this man would be thinking about a family trip after losing his livelihood? Months later, she finishes him off with a divorce, as if he had somehow planned his own downfall. But let's continue.
It's like nothing about it suited. And if you have young kids, ours were 5 and 2 at the time, and you're planning a trip to Disney, you know that that trip is not really about you. You might find some stuff that you enjoy while you're there, but the trip is for the kids. It's about letting them have that magic experience, and then you get your fulfillment from watching them have that experience, right? Like, you're not going to get to do everything you want to do, but you want to try and get your kids as many of those experiences. So we had lunch at some weird times so that the kids could have lunch with the characters. Like, that's just what you do. But every part of this trip was just so much bitching and moaning, and nothing I had done was good enough. Everything was, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Bitch, why didn't you help plan it? Right? Like, I had to do everything. And I will never forget, on the drive home, we stopped at a Chick-fil-A for lunch, and I was driving that portion of the trip. Like, we had the 4 adults, we took turns driving. I was driving as we were cruising into lunch, so I handed him my phone, because I had the Chick-fil-A app, and just to have him put in the lunch order. And it was such a fucking debacle that, like, he didn't even order anything for me. And so we get to Chick-fil-A and we have to wait for the food because I had to order more. And my mom and I are with the kids in the little play area they have there. And I lost it. Like, I just finally had a meltdown. And I remember saying to my poor mother, what's worse, putting the kids through a divorce or spending the rest of my life with this idiot? And she just looked at me, because up until that point, like, I hadn't really voiced to my parents how unhappy I was. Like, I was kind of leaving them out of it, right? But I had just seen what the rest of my life was going to be like with this man. It was going to be me doing everything and it never being appreciated. And I just couldn't do it. Let's stop pretending that letting your partner default to making all the decisions is somehow doing them a favor. Let's stop pretending that saying, oh, you do what you decide, whatever you want. Let's stop pretending that's like a gift, because it's not. I don't want to be told, oh, you decide. I want you to decide. I don't want to make all the decisions. Do you know how nice it is to just show up and somebody else has actually planned something? I never experienced that until my current relationship, where it's like my man now, he'll just plan a date night, and all I got to do is get ready and look pretty. And it's so nice. Let's start being partners. Because I think that's what we all want. We want a partner. We don't want another responsibility.
Hey, bro. What? Oh, my God!
I don't want to spend my whole life with this idiot, because when he got fired, He wasn't thinking about planning a trip to Disney with her. He was complaining about the terrible treatment he received. But he's the idiot for not being mentally stable enough for a vacation after losing his job. Yet somehow he's still the bad guy here. Whoever puts themselves in his shoes. Of course, he was mentally struggling. He wasn't thinking about vacations or family fun because all he could focus on was how he was going to move forward without a job. But the blame always fell on him, and she, like so many others, didn't even make the slightest effort to understand what he was going through. If the situation had been reversed, if it had been her who was upset while he took her on a trip, everyone would have criticized him for being insensitive and not understanding her pain. That's why I realized that empathy for men doesn't exist. That's why only animals, babies, and women receive unconditional love. Men are never deemed worthy of it.
One of the common comments I'm getting from the men in my divorce videos are that I was just unhappy and it wasn't my ex-husband's responsibility to make me happy, and I'm responsible for my own happiness. And there's some truth to that, right? We are, at the end of the day, we are responsible for our own happiness. And that's why I divorced him, because I wanted to create a life for myself where I could be happy. But anyway, we're in charge of our own happiness. Unless that involves getting rid of the man, then I'm a horrible shrew. But anyhow, along the same lines, what I would like to include here is that if you're in a committed relationship with somebody, while at the end of the day, their happiness is ultimately their responsibility, your responsibility as a partner is to not be doing things that take away their happiness. It's to not be treating them in such a way where they feel sad and miserable all the time. It is your responsibility as their partner to build a life together that is enriching for both of you. That's what you said you were going to do when you took your wedding vows. And all the guys are coming on here saying, you obviously didn't take your vows seriously. Yeah, neither did you. That's why you're divorced too, right? Like, we're supposed to be a partnership. That's what we signed up for. You know, all we ask as women, it's really not that complicated. All we ask is that you keep showing up with the same energy you had when we were dating. Because, man, you made us feel like the most special thing in the world, didn't you? You pursued us, you took us out, you treated us well, you hung out with us, spent time with us, talked to us. Like, you treated us in such a way that we're like, yeah, I want to do this forever with you. And then it seems like as soon as we walk down the aisle, all that effort stops. And then when the women speak up about it, we're being unreasonable and we need to go be responsible for our own happiness. You can see how we were confused by the whole thing, right? You pursued us, you proposed to us, you married us. We assumed based on all those things that you liked spending time with us and that you wanted to be our partners. Because that's what we wanted, was a partner, not another responsibility. So if you're adding to your partner's workload and you are behaving in such a way that you're robbing them of their happiness, don't act all shocked when they come to you wanting a divorce.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
She's right about one thing, something every man eventually realizes. Why the hell did I get married when we were just living together without a ring? Without that contract with the devil, life was good. Because it's after marriage that a man sees a woman's true face. She says that a man has to maintain the same energy from the dating stage so he doesn't take away her happiness. But that fantasy of living forever in stage one is impossible. If it were, every man would be rushing to get married. Because in that stage, there's good treatment, acts of service, constant intimacy. The harsh truth is that the only one who marries for love is the man. The woman marries for a lifestyle. Don't forget, she left him when he lost his job. She complained that he didn't help plan a trip right after getting fired, called him an idiot while he was going through one of the worst moments of his life. Where was the empathy for her husband? There was none. A man is only valued as long as he produces, as long as he keeps her happiness intact. When he can't anymore, when he needs support, he's thrown away.
Hey, just a quick reminder before I head into work. You deserve to be happy. Like, actually. Despite what the comment sections of my videos might say, it is not selfish to want to live a life that makes you happy. And if you have somebody in your life who's telling you otherwise, I'm sorry, that sucks. I've been there. It's a shitty feeling. But if I've learned anything in these 37 years so far, it's that our time here is fleeting. Life goes by
in the blink of an eye, especially once you start having kids, then it really hits fast forward. And before you know it, we're going to be laying on our deathbeds, reflecting back on our lives. And I don't want any more regrets than I already have. I spent long enough living my life for other people and their happiness. But it's okay to put yourself first sometimes, because this is your life too. And it's the only one you're going to get. You're not here to be the supporting role in somebody else's life. Your happiness matters just as much as anybody else. I don't care what your gender is, your age, your skin color, your income level, where you live. Nothing makes you less important than anybody else. As long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else or breaking the law, you deserve to pursue a life that is fulfilling and makes you as happy as possible. Because you are important and you deserve to be happy. Period. Not negotiable. And if that upsets people in your life, well, I don't know that they had your best interests at heart, right? So I hope you all have a great day.
How beautiful that message sounds when it's a woman saying it. No one criticizes her because she deserves to be happy. She deserves to divorce after years of marriage and 3 kids because her happiness is supposedly the children's happiness. That's always the excuse. But when a man does the same thing, he's condemned. Society sees him as the villain, the man who left his wife with 3 kids to be with another woman, because he doesn't deserve to be happy. And on top of that, her happiness comes with 50% of the man's assets, because if she deserves to be happy, he has to pay for it. Later on, they wonder why more and more men don't get married, why we are becoming more selfish with our lives and assets, and why we do everything we can to protect ourselves. Because neither the system nor the world cares about us. That's why I tell you, if you don't defend your interests, if you don't put yourself first, you'll end up being treated like this man. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. Why is it that when a man loses his job, the woman files for divorce? Have you ever been through a divorce? What was the reason? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.